I grew up here in Middleburg. I grew up down the street. I used to play in these woods. I started this Woods on Fire once when I was a kid. So, oh yeah, I was a bad kid.
So you set on fire?
Yeah, we used to cut through Claremont and Morningside, cut through, and then this was all field. And one time we were doing something, we started on fire. Yeah, but we won't record that part. It might be.
That's a good story, though.
Yeah. Oh no, there's plenty of stories. So yeah.
That seems kind of like what John would be like too, right?
John Gadd?
No, John.
Oh, Gretch?
Yeah.
Yeah, John.
I think he had probably a lot of mischievous stories too.
Yeah.
I am all set.
Okay. Okay, Chris, if you could just say and spell your first and last name.
And don't look at that.
Don't, yeah, ignore him altogether.
Okay, my name is Chris Meekins, ChrisMeekins.
Okay. And how long have you lived in Middleburg?
I have lived in Middleburg my entire life. For a couple of years I lived in Brook Park while we were buying less expensive houses. But I grew up and have lived the last 61 years of my life within a mile of right here. I've lived in a 1 mile radius all my whole life.
Isn't that incredible?
Is that crazy?
That's wild. It's awesome,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
I think.
yeah, I liked it, so.
And in terms of like job title, what do you want to say?
I was a firefighter until I retired with the city of Brook Park. And since I retired, I've been full-time real estate. And that's been since '04, so I'm a full-time realtor with Remax Crossroads.
Okay, perfect. So this is your city. Like,
This is my city.
This is
my
your
city.
town.
Yes. When people say, where do you live? I go, I live in Middleburg. Well, what do you think of Middleburg? Well, I've lived here my whole life, so I'm pretty much not going to go anywhere now.
You're staying put.
Yeah, I'm staying put. I'm in. In fact, we moved from a house we owned for 25 years to a new house. We moved less than a mile from here. Just in a ranch. We were supposed to buy down, but we ended up buying bigger and more and acreage. I don't know what happened there, but it could be the coolest house in Middleburg Heights. Just saying. This is pretty cool, but mine's cool. Just saying.
So having lived here your whole life, you've, I'm sure, seen an evolution happen, yet at the same time, the fabric of Middleburg Heights, there's something about it that must still feel like the city you grew up in. So what do you love about this city that has existed your entire time living here, and what changes have you enjoyed seeing?
The key thing has always been the location. So I kind of get to know people all over the city. So when I was in high school, we'd drive down to Lakewood, 10 minutes from here. I met some people over on the east side, and it was, 25, 30-minute drive because you have an easy access. So you can be anywhere in Northeast Ohio from Middleburg Heights in 30 minutes, anywhere. And so you have the Turnpike, you have 71, you have 480, and so it's located, and at the airport is within, it's 5 minutes. So it's easy to get people to come and pick you up.
What about the community? What is it about the community of Middleburg Heights that makes this city so special?
Well, the city's been very stable, always. It's always had some stability. And so, like neighboring cities, there seems to be always some kind of turmoil or drama going on. But that's not the case in Middleburg Heights. And so you've watched it progressively, just like the standard has gotten a little bit better. The direction of the city is a little bit better. They didn't just jump out and say, oh, everybody else got a rec center, we have to have a rec center. It was a little bit longer, but when you look at our rec center, it's awesome. It's an awesome rec center. And so, and you can feel safe here. You feel safe. We have the parkway going right through the middle. My wife, when we had kids, we spent time on the parkway every day. And so we walked our kids there. The kids would go on bike rides. We always felt safe. And so as it's developed, it's always felt safe. And so my wife and I, we've been married 39 years, we've always felt that our kids were safe here and we were safe here. And that's so long-term safety and things like that. But it's always been, like I said, it's, you're not embarrassed to say Middleburg Heights at all. That's, doesn't matter, but it does matter. It's just like, people, where do you live? I live in Middleburg Heights. I have no, oh, well.
You don't have to make excuses.
You don't have to make excuses. You have to say, well, we live here for now, and then we're going to move someplace else. So we're just here for until we can. No, you can move into Middleburg Heights and stay here for your entire life, which I have. So,
having raised a family here, let's talk a little. You did touch on it, but let's talk a little bit more about that. What was it like raising a family in Middleburg Heights?
I'm just gonna turn on a light back here. Just to make it.
You're killing me.
that was a good
You're killing
question
me,
too.
Smalls. You're getting great answers.
Oh, I'm full of shit.
Well, it all sounds
I'm
good.
totally full of it.
Well,
That's why I have to stay in the same place. No, I'm joking.
are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay, so yeah, you talked a little bit and touched on your family, but I want to talk more about that. What was it like to raise a family in Middleburg Heights?
Well, we have 4 kids. So the Berea School District has been really good to us. I went to the Berea School District. My kids went to the school district. Of all my 4 kids, 3 have graduated from college. 1 has gone on to have his master's and now his doctorate in ministry. My second son has got a degree from Kent State. My third son became a firefighter and was recruited to go to Memphis. And then my daughter is a communication major. And so they never really had problems in college. So the school district was a really good place to go. Secondly, the park system, like I said, the metro parks. I mean, it goes right through the city, and they've always had good sporting, what's the word I'm trying to think of? The rec department has always been good. You've always been able to have kids in baseball and things like that. And so, again, we knew most of the kids, we knew their parents, we knew there was a couple streets down, so they could ride their bikes to their friend's house, but we knew their parents because we've been seeing them at soccer games or baseball games for the last 20 years. And so it was easy because kind of everybody knows, who the families are in the neighborhood.
So I don't know what I'm about to say is a question, but I more want to have a conversation about it, and maybe you'll rephrase it your own way. But what I think is interesting with you, you grow up here.
Grew up here.
Then you have a family of your own. You raise them here.
Raised my family here.
And now you're going through a phase of your life where you're enjoying the back end of it. So you have evolved from being a young boy to watching your children grow, and now you're still here after all of that's happened. I think that's so fascinating that you must look around the city and there have to be like snippets of different moments of time throughout your whole life when you look around Middleburg Heights.
It's funny because where Misty Lake is that was a field where Kmart is and Speedway and Olive Garden, all those restaurants over there on west of 71. There was one gas station over there, and it was all Rosbaugh's field. And so as it grew up, you're like, oh, I remember when, I feel like one of those old guys, like, I remember back when that was a bean farm. But Southland's always been there, and it's been, things have gone good and bad. So the funny thing is, my second son lives here in Middleburg Heights, and he has a son. And so one of the reasons we bought the property that we live on now in Middleburg is that he can be in a safe community. He comes over there, he plays in the woods. And again, there's a lot of cities that just don't have those kind of amenities. And so, yeah, to watch it turn into like, this is like a great neighborhood. When we first moved here, I was, I was like, I don't even remember how. I mean, it was, I think, in 3rd grade or something like that. But, there were no sewers, and you just went from a country as a small. I remember my aunts and uncles used to say, Middleburg, why would you move to Middleburg? And so, it seemed like it was out of nowhere. In fact, when this is a funny story, when we were in junior high, and it was called Middleburg Heights Junior High School, we used to play those hillbillies out in Strongsville because that was the country and it wasn't developed. So you were like way out there in Strongsville. Middleburg Heights was the place to live when in those 70s. I mean, it was cool houses and stuff like that.
So Middleburg Heights really kind of holds the stories of your life.
Oh yeah, everything. I mean, I've got more stories. I had to go to therapy a couple times because no, there's always. I can look at, like Lawson's up here. I remember when that was Lawson's. I remember when they opened up the Sears and they had this concert, the Mercury Theater that used to be at Southland. They had the James Gang, which is an old rocking band, played at the Mercury Theater for a talent show or something like that, and so. You just watched it become a great neighborhood. I mean, it's a great community.
Those are such great memories that you have and that you hold. You must feel proud and really good about the fact that the city has been in good hands to evolve in a positive way.
One of the things that happened probably, I want to say, in the early 90s, my wife and I decided we wanted to go to a church, and there's a local church here called Grace Church, and it was a small building, and we got to participate in the new building of the new church. And as the discussions were going, we were thinking, well, do we move to Brook Park? Do we move to Berea? Do we move to Strongsville? And the idea that in the meeting, the consensus was, no, we want to stay in Middleburg Heights because it's a strong community. Again, you can get anywhere in the county easily because of 71, 480, and the Turnpike. And so that church has turned into probably 3,000 or 4,000 people attend there every Sunday, not just our members. And the people there, it's become this lighthouse from the Christian community of a church where it's solidly placed, it's got its roots, it's been there for years, and it's just part of the consistency and the stability that Middleburg Heights has always offered. And so we've chose to stay here in Middleburg Heights and build this massive church that could be probably one of the biggest non-denominational churches in the Northeast Ohio. And so the decision was to stay here. It was intentionally, I was in the meeting, it was intentionally to stay here in Middleburg because of the stability that Middleburg offers.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you can think of? No?
No, that was good. That was really good.
That was awesome. I'll tell you.